Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Burn again, burn again, burn again, ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we review every Bare Naked Ladies song from 7 to Y. And we have finally said a fond farewell to the fairly fascinating and fine tunes of the Fs. This week, we gladly greet the glorious and gorgeous music of the G's as we discuss Gangster Girl. If you haven't heard this song before, here is a snippet. Gangster Girl, you stole my heart away. Gangster Girl, I'll get it back from you someday. When you get out of jail. It is a very short song, and I would love to play the whole thing, but because it has never been released, I have been asked by their management not to do that.
Oh, really?
I have. However, if you would like to hear or download the whole thing, I would definitely recommend it, and then you can find it on bnlhttp.com under the random folder and then the various folder. If you also like listening to this on SoundCloud, I will be putting the SoundCloud link up on our links tonight. And joining us this week, we have Michelle back.
Hi, guys. It's nice to see you.
It's wonderful. We told you to take the F's off, but I didn't mean that as an insult.
I took it very personally, and it's taken me a while to get over it, so...
I'm very glad to have you back.
I'm back. Yes, it's good to be back. How are you guys? Erin, your background looks super high-tech. Listeners, I wish you could see Erin's background. It's kind of like, for real. It's the real deal.
I'm in my secret underground lair.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like.
It's amazing how your secret underground lair looks a lot like your Twitch stream.
Well, I stream from my secret underground lair. I play video games here. I'm not necessarily trying to take over the world. Why would I even suggest such a thing? That's strange.
Funny, that's the first thing that popped out of your mouth.
What am I talking about?
What are we going to do tomorrow night, Brian?
The same thing we always do. Stream on Twitch.
So if you haven't picked up, we also have Erin with us tonight. Hey, so you actually have all three of us together again.
I know, it's nice.
Now, as some of you may recognize, Gangster Girl was never fully released. However, would it surprise you to know that there was a full recording of the song done in the studio the day the scene was filmed? Wait, you didn't know that Gangster Girl existed at all? Well, let me back it up. This was a song that was specifically written for the film The Wrong Guy, because Dave Foley, and hopefully we'll be able to ask a little bit later and figure out a little bit later, like how this came about. But Dave Foley specifically asked B&L to write for, or to let him use the music for The Wrong Guy. B&L upped it a notch and said, well, we'll write you an original song for it then. And this is what they came up with. They went right into the studio the next morning before they went to film on to shoot on the film and pushed this out. And I don't know if you're surprised that we're going to cover this song. It's partially Okay. It's mostly relying on the fact that we have a guest with us today, and we have a perfect song to center our discussion around. Our guest tonight is the legendary comic genius, one of the troupe Kids in the Hall, an actor of over 80 TV shows, such as Kids in the Hall and Newsradio, and 59 movies, including High Stakes, Brain Candy, A Bug's Life, and The Wrong Guy. A comedic writer for 9 TV shows and movies such as Kids in the Hall, Car Fuckers, and The Wrong Guy. Are you picking up on the hints here? Nominee of 7 Primetime Emmys, one-time nominee and one-time winner of the Canadian Comedy Award. And may I add, the nominee was for The Wrong Guy. 5-time nominee and 3-time winner of the Gemini Award. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the recognition for outstanding writing or performance in television in Canada. So the Emmy is like the American version of the Gemini. Honestly, we could be here the rest of the episode listing off this man's accomplishments and credentials, but I would rather spend our time talking to a huge self-appointed Bare Naked Ladies fan, probably one of the earliest, a man who wrote a movie that cameoed the Bare Naked Ladies and one of their songs. A man who was quoted by People magazine when they were writing an article on BNL as saying, "I saw them in Toronto and it was the best live show I've ever seen. They are a rare thing, a funny band that's really funny." It is my distinct honor to introduce to you and welcome to the podcast
a man who needs no
Dave.
Introduction.
Mr. Dave Foley. Let's see if they pick up here.
Hello.
Hi.
All right.
Hey.
Aaron, Dave, Aaron.
Hi.
Pleased to meet you, Dave.
Nice to meet you too.
Dave, this is Michelle. Oh, by the way, I'm Tracy.
Great.
I didn't introduce myself at all. I keep forgetting that when I'm setting up interviews that I'm doing it behind this shade of like no one knowing who I am.
You're super famous. What are you talking about, Tracy?
That's right. I'm like the Seinfeld. I'm famous for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm famous for next to nothing.
Thank you for joining us, Dave.
Hi, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Lovely to see you all.
So I'm going to dive in and I'm going to take control from these guys because these.
All right, go ahead.
Guys have a ton of things that they want to ask you, but since I'm the BNL guy, I'm going to like keep pulling us back to BNL.
Yeah.
When did
You're
you
clearly
first hear
power
Bare Naked?
He is. You have to save us from this guy, Dave.
Yeah, I've seen this syndrome before. Yeah.
Bruce McCullough syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez. Wait a minute. Is that an insult or a praise? I can't decide.
Yeah, it's an insult. It's an insult if you say it to Napoleon.
I don't know how to bring that back.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that's going to happen a whole bunch tonight.
Bruce, we know you listen to every episode. Please come on the show.
All right.
Well, we could have his rebuttal.
Yeah. It'll look
so
like
Dave
was totally in the wrong.
That's hilarious.
Oh my god.
I totally wish I was video recording this right now. This is wonderful. When did you first hear Bare Naked Ladies, and what kind of brought you to them?
Oh, Bare Naked Ladies. Well, I first heard them. Where did I first? I think I may have first heard them being interviewed on CBC Radio years and years ago when they were still they were becoming famous as local buskers in Toronto, and they had their 6-song cassette out, and I went out and got their 6-song cassette before they had a record deal, and so that was the first time I heard them. And they were amazing. They were amazing. And I was very prejudiced because I hear comedy songs usually are horrible. And then I heard their stuff and it was funny and really brilliant. And then I remember I think Kevin McDonald and I went to see them play at a theater on the Danforth in Toronto early on. I think it was like when they were touring their first album. And we sort of became friends after that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Mm.
So I've heard bits and parts of the story, but I can't be sure that my co-hosts know the story or that even our audience has heard it. So would you regale us with your story on how BNL came to be in your movie, The Wrong Guy?
Well, it's fairly simple. I was making a movie called The Wrong Guy, and we had a scene written in it where the idea was that I hide in a dumpster, and when I see it, I think I'm on the run from the police, and I'm not really. No one's really looking for me. The premise of the movie, but I see a cop, and I dive into a dumpster, and the cop stands around, and then it builds that then another cop comes and starts hanging out with them. They start playing quarters, tossing quarters against a wall, and then eventually, as the evening wears on, and I'm trapped in this dumpster, I hear doo-wop singing, and I come up, and then there's like 5 cops all standing around a burning trash can singing doo-wop songs.
It's such a surreal moment. It reminded me of Rocky when he walks by Frank Stallone and co singing around the hobo burn barrel. It was great.
Yeah, and it was so we had the scene, and I thought, well, I'll ask the Bare Naked Ladies if they'll come up and do it. And they were on tour at the time, but they had a gap, so they were able to come up. And so I thought, we'd just have them come and they'd sing some doo-wop song that we could get the rights to. But instead, the guys suggested, why don't we write something? And so while they were on the road, on their way up to Toronto to shoot it, they wrote a song called Gangster Girl, sort of to fit in with the theme of the movie. And they came up, they recorded it quickly, and then we just shot that night. And the other interesting part of that night was that when I did the jump into the dumpster, on the second take of it, I hit the end of the dumpster with my leg, and tore the ligaments on both sides of my ankle.
Oh my God!
Wow!
So all of the scenes where I'm lying inside the dumpster, I'm in intense pain.
Wow!
You would never guess it because you are like hilarious in that dumpster. Like I think one of the best parts of that whole scene is like you start off like thoroughly upset, like you're stuck in this dumpster, and then it cuts back to you, and you're just sitting there and rocking to the
kind of enjoying the tune, serenaded. Dave, I have to say, I'm super impressed. Like I just thought when I first saw that scene that was a stunt double. You really go for it. Like the physical comedy in that film, between that or like jumping right through the train, just some fantastic.
Which was
like
also me.
I tip my hat to you, sir, because wow, that was some fantastic work.
I did pretty much everything. I think the only stunt they wouldn't let me do was the jump out of the car.
Yeah,
there was a fall out of a car, which frankly I could have done it.
You said that's fine. I don't need to do that.
The weird thing was the jump through the train. They didn't want to let me do. And then eventually, after I harangued them into letting me do it, but then they said, all right, well, we'll do it this way. We'll have you do one, then the stunt double will do one, and then you can do one, then the stunt double will do one. And I said, oh, that makes no sense, but okay, if that's the compromise.
Let's endanger both of us.
So that way I could risk my life, and we could not use it.
That's awesome.
So me and a stunt double were doing that jump through the train for a while, and but it was the one that we actually used was me.
That's good to know at least.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So wait, were those the only
stunt
two?
Probably put out like he's like I did all that work and it didn't even make it in the movie.
Yeah, I think he was okay. Well, I mean, I think he was okay with it, but the thing was like he was too in control of his body, so it wasn't as funny.
Didn't have that ragdoll effect.
Yeah.
Were those the only two takes then that you did of the flip? And that was the one that we saw in the movie, the first take then?
I can't even remember which take we used in the movie. I think, because I know we did one take. I hope I used the second take.
Yeah, right? You gave your health for it.
Yeah, because I did one take that went perfectly. And then I went over to our director, David Steinberg, and I said, I think it might be funnier if I got a little more height, a little more extension on it. And so I wanted to get my legs up higher. And,
if anyone's listening and hasn't seen The Wrong Guy, do yourself a favor, go and watch it, and just wait for that moment in the film because it's just hysterical. He goes completely straight, his legs just go right up in the air, and he flips over to the side. Yeah, it's incredible.
That was the look I wanted.
Well, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
We had to shut down production for a couple of days. But...
Oh man. So are we open to Q&A now, Tracy? Or
opened up for Q&A. I can ask more questions, but we can pass it around.
It looks like Michelle really wants to ask something.
I would just like to say, Dave Foley, I adore you. I think you're wonderful. I've been following you since the very early 90s on HBO, and I loved you as Jocelyn. You're beautiful, and I love
Davis' best girl.
I love the scene. Well, my husband and I saw you, the Kids in the Hall, perform in Boston a couple of years ago when you were doing the wedding dress as the opening skit. And I had to laugh because throughout the show, there was mention of like all the 40-year-old guys who were nerds and lived in their mother's basement that were bringing their 20-year-old girlfriends. And I'm like, I'm the 40-year-old nerd because I've been following you guys forever. I loved you on Newsradio, and my favorite part was when you were in drag on the Halloween episode. I was like, yes, that's what I want. Like the whole run of the show, I'm like, I need to see him in drag again.
You know, I fought against that.
Did you?
I checked on other podcasts, or maybe the Joe Rogan podcast, but I know you spoke against that, but I was like, but it made me so happy. So thanks for
I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it now. But at the time, I kept, come on. It's just such a cheap reference to the kids.
It was affection. I was like, I took it as a gift to the universe, so it was great. But I just always enjoy seeing you pop up. I loved you in the middle as the guidance counselor. And just, seeing you there's Dave Foley. It's a thrill. So I just want you to know that I'm happy every time I see you.
That's called not having a steady gig.
Well, I'm glad that you get the work.
You show up on everything.
I'm glad you get the work you do.
Everything. Yeah.
I loved you, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Dave, as the put upon principal of the high school.
Yeah, that was
extremely great sad sack straight man performance there, top notch.
And you look great. I just want to say you look fantastic.
Oh, thanks. I was going to say I feel a little self-conscious because I actually I shaved off my beard just today. Because we're talking, there's some talk we may be doing some Kids in the Hall stuff coming up.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Oh, wow.
You heard it here first, folks.
Stop it.
So I thought I'd better check to see what was underneath my beard, and I'm not thrilled with it.
Aw. No, you look great. Because I just saw you on the Joe Rogan podcast, and you were you had your beard, but you just look like you walked in like you're a breath of fresh air from the springtime or something. Yeah. So it's nice.
Thank you. Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
Enough flattery. More questions.
I'm going to stop gushing. That's all. I don't have any questions.
I'm going to pull it away from Michelle now. Just I'm going to bring it back to Kids in the Hall though.
All right.
This is actually a question from our co-host Bobby that couldn't make it tonight. So the name of your troupe, Kids in the Hall, was inspired by that old joke by Sid Caesar. So whenever he bombed a joke or it didn't go as he wanted, he would say that was because of the kids in the hall, referring to
vaguely. It was more just that they were a group of writers.
Yeah, they came up with that. The Kids in the Hall.
He wouldn't shit on them. He would just but the guys who were referred to as the Kids in the Hall were guys like Woody Allen.
Oh wow.
Neil Simon,
Larry
Gelbart.
Nice.
So those were the young writers that were trying to make their mark on the show, and those were the guys that he would refer to as the Kids in the Hall.
So when you make that reference, are you trying to say that you're not afraid to kind of go for the fences and let a joke bomb, or that you're embracing comedy that's not always for everyone? But Bobby was wondering what is that kind of referencing? What are you saying about yourselves?
I think it was actually Luke Casimiri's idea, who was in the original trio, the Kids in the Hall, and it was his idea to use it. It was a showbiz story that was told to us, and he basically said, because we were kids at the time, literally, I was 19 and Luke was 18, and Kevin was 20. And, we were kids trying to break into show business. So he thought it had a resonance there. And then years later, well, not many years later, but couple of years later, when we merged with the other group, there were just more of us at the time. So we went with Kids in the Hall as the name.
Nice story. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So, as the resident music nerd, I feel like I have to ask a couple of musical questions. So,
Oh, sure. You were asking earlier.
Yeah, Dave, are you musical at all? Do you sing or play an instrument or anything like that? Or
I don't sing very well. I play guitar even worse. I play flute.
Really?
Nice.
Like, wait, is that where?
Proficient.
So was that really you playing jazz flute then in the skit with Bruce? The "I will refuse to stop rocking, sir"?
Oh yeah.
Was that really you really playing?
Yeah. Oh,
That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. I was always curious about that. Yaw's flute.
Yeah.
And do you like jazz, or is that just?
Oh, I love jazz.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
you're one of my people.
Jazz fan. Yeah.
Excellent. You like you a Mingus guy or Monk? Or...
I like Mingus.
Yeah.
I love Monk. I love all them beboppers.
Yeah, Miles.
Parker and Miles and Dizzy.
Nice.
And also a huge fan of a less known guy named Rasan Roland Kirk. You get a chance to watch a movie called Case of the Three-Sided Dream. It's a documentary about Roland Kirk.
I'll have to check that out. Thank you.
He did he was amazing. Did amazing like circular breathing. And,
yeah.
He was famous for playing like 3 saxophones at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I've heard about that kind of stuff. I went to college for jazz, so of course I'm not using my degree, but it's nice to talk to somebody else who loves jazz. That's awesome, Dave. Thank you. What's your favorite BNL song, do you think?
My favorite? Oh, God.
I know, right? Tough.
So you beat me to it, because I was going to ask what his favorite album was. You went right down to the song.
Yeah.
Well, whatever is easier to answer.
Songs that jump into my head. Old Apartment is still one of my favorites. This song, I remember the title of it. I'm not sure if it's called Break Your Heart.
Yes.
Yeah, Break Your Heart. That's fantastic. We love that one too.
That's one of Steve's best vocals, I think.
Oh, he just belts it. He goes Joe Cocker on that one.
He sings it like he means it. It's so
That's a beautiful
perfection.
Song. Yeah. First time I heard that song, it just moved me to tears.
Oh, so the Odds did your theme song for Kids in the Hall, Death Comes to Town. Who was the one that pulled that together?
Well, we hired Craig Northey as our musical director for it, and to do the score. And Craig had worked with us before. He did the score for Brain Candy, and and he's toured with us a few times. And, sort of.
What does he do when he's touring with you guys?
He just sort of basically scores the sketches live on stage.
Wow, oh, that's cool.
Stuff and does interstitial stuff, and then does a couple of his own songs. And so we had Craig touring with us. And so then, so when we were doing Death Comes to Town, I think it was just Bruce, I guess, asked. I mean, we talked about it. Well, what would we do as a theme? And we decided not to use the Kids in the Hall theme because we wanted to distinguish it. So I think Bruce went to Craig and said, "Can you come up with a new Kids in the Hall theme?" And Craig said, "Oh, that's not intimidating."
Nice.
The guy who replaces the Shadowy Men theme. Yeah.
So, Dave, I gotta ask you: every Canadian that comes on the show, one Canadian to another, I have dual citizenship. Now, in Pulp Fiction, Mia Wallace says to Vincent Vega, there are 2 kinds of people in this world, Beatles people and Elvis people. You can like them both, but you can't like them equally. So, one Canadian to another, bare naked ladies or the tragically hip?
Oh.
I don't know if the analogy applies.
I mean, they're very different bands.
Well, they're very different bands. But I love them. I love them. I think I can love them both equally.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
enough. But if you want to go, but I'll definitely go with the Beatles on the other one.
Oh yeah. Same.
Yeah.
That's the easy choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love. I mean, it's also I'm friends with both bands, so
jealous.
Yeah. And they're both two of the greatest live shows you can ever see.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, definitely. I mean, Bare Naked Ladies, of course, are famous for just how much fun their live shows are.
Oh my God, totally.
Oh, and the Hip were. I mean, Gord, watching Gord live was always.
He was something else.
Yeah, he was just such an eccentric freak on stage.
Now, have you been out to see Steven and the Odds or BNL since the breakup?
I haven't. I haven't seen BNL since the breakup. I mean, I've talked to them, all the guys, I think a few times, and I have seen Steve doing his solo stuff. I actually saw him. He tours with Craig Northey in his band. Mm-hmm. So we actually went and saw them play at the Troubadour recently, and also Craig and Steve performed at my 50th birthday party. So.
Oh, really?
Wow, very cool.
Yeah. They got and did like a bunch of my favorite Odds and Bare Naked Lady songs.
That's awesome.
That's quite a thing. Yeah, very cool.
What an amazing present.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah,
man.
It was a great part. My wife. Actually, the odd thing was my wife and I were separated at the time. She threw this great party for me, and we had the Odds. I had Craig and Steve performed. My friend John Kastner, who was in the Canadian band The Doughboys, and his wife Jessica Perret, who was on Mad Men, they did a song. Amy Mann did a song. We had Patton Oswalt and Paul F. Tompkins.
Wow.
And
sounds like quite a
Dave
night.
Thomas performed. Yeah. Steve, yes.
What a way to kick off your 50th birthday. That's fantastic.
Yeah, Steve Root and Vicki Lewis are there.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah.
Very cool.
Now you mentioned Steve Root and Dave Thomas, and I know they've been on your podcast. Don't say okay. Wait, I'm gonna get it right because I always get in the wrong direction.
Well, the real name
don't
is
say cunt with Paul and Dave.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't say cunt with Paul and Dave. Yeah.
And
I'm not sure how Paul got top billing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take that up with your attorney there.
Yeah.
So, have you ever thought of having BNL or Steven on the show?
Yeah. Oh, we would. It's just a matter of him being in town. Yeah, really, my wife books all the guests, and usually she doesn't tell us who the guests are, so they just walk in the middle of the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that element of surprise there.
Yeah. As Paul and I try to be as unprepared for everything as possible.
Well, it keeps it. It's what those kids are craving these days. That authenticity thing everyone's talking about.
Yeah. That and the kids love old men.
They just can't get enough. I don't.
Old white men. Yeah. That's the kids are clamoring for it.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, I do a show called Controller Throwers where we talk about video games, and you provided a voice for one of my favorite games of all time, Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
You were
Which
Yes
I've
Man,
never seen. I've
the
never played
sycophantic robot. You haven't? Oh, it's fantastic. It's
never
so good.
I've never played it. I'm old.
If it's not Atari, we don't want it.
I haven't played it, and I've never even seen anyone else play it. But I hear it's really good.
It is, and you are the best part of it, man. It's
thank you.
When I came up to that character, and I was like, I recognize that voice. And then you said something that kind of reminded me of the Sarcastic Man character from Kids in the Hall, and I was like, oh my god, it's Dave Foley. But that was very cool.
That was probably intentional from the creators.
Yeah, I would imagine, given the character. Yeah. But how was the recording of that? Like, was that pretty similar to doing like the animated films you've done and stuff like that, or was it a little different?
It was similar, but I mean, it's much more disjointed because you have to
just going down the list of
all
these lines,
conversation fragments. That what we call them, depending on what choices the players make.
Right.
So it's less, there's less of the sense of telling a linear story, and more of just trying to cover every possibility. So it's a massive amount of recording.
Yeah, I would imagine, because there's so many different possibilities. So,
yeah. But
that was great. I'm really glad you ended up doing that. Cause that was a really great moment.
Well, thanks. It was fun to do. Someday I should get a copy of it.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, if you want to come on, we can play it, and you can come on and comment on it at some point. We'd love to have you on the show. Awesome.
How long does it take you to record something like that?
I can't remember. I think I did it all in one session, but I can't remember how many hours it took.
A lot of bottles of water, probably.
Yeah. It was a long. But I can't remember if I did more than one session for it or not. I can't remember now. It's been so long.
Now, aside from, I know you did a stand-up tour a little while back, a few years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Are you doing that again anytime soon? And if so, are you coming out to the East Coast? Because I would sure love to see it.
I don't think so. I started doing stand-up to see if I could, and then I did special for Showtime. And then after that, I thought, I don't want to write any more material. So I stopped doing stand-up. And about that time, I started doing Ken Jeong's sitcom. So I didn't so I didn't need to work. So at the time, but if things stay really slow, then maybe I'll have to go out again.
Well, I don't want to hope for that. So I guess I hope that you don't do that. But it'd be great. Maybe you'll do something with the kids, right?
If either that or if I get inspired, one or the other.
Okay, well that's a little more positive. So I'll hope for that.
Yeah. The being broke is more likely though.
Is there anything other than Don't Say Cunt with Paul and Dave that you'd like to plug or promote?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else I'm doing right now. Oh, I'm sometimes I'm out on the road doing a show called Who's Live Anyway.
I saw that. You're like in Alabama in a little while, aren't you?
Huh?
Aren't you like in Alabama in a month or two or something like that? You're somewhere.
I have no idea. I know. All I know is like 2 months off.
Yeah.
And then I'm which is nice. And then in the middle of October I go back out on the road. And I think we've got stuff booked through till next spring. I think.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's fun because it's Greg Proops, Jeff Davis, and Joel Murray, and my old friend Bob Durkach on piano, and it's it's like a 90-minute pure improv show, which is
nice.
Fun.
Well, that's bringing you back to your roots, right?
Yeah. Well, when they first asked me to come out and do one, I hadn't done a full improv show regularly done improv in about 30 years.
Wow.
So it was one of the things where they called me in the middle of the night because one of their guys got sick. And they said, "Can you come out?" And I said, "Okay."
Pinch hit.
I didn't think about it. So it was a good thing I didn't have time to think about it.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome.
So look out for Who's Live Anyway, because sometimes it's me, Ryan Stiles, and sometimes Drew Carey sort of swap out doing it. And Joel and Jeff and Greg do all of them.
The regulars, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And I will look that up online and see if I can find that and post it in our liner notes for the week, and people can go out and find that.
Well, thank you.
I don't know how much time you have on your end, but I have one more question. I'm holding off until these guys have wasted all their questions up, and then I'm like, all right,
I had no questions.
You have a lot of great flattery, though.
I just wanted to gush. Like, I've waited 30 years to do this. So
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
awesome.
the gushing.
And I enjoyed it also.
Made me feel pretty and special.
You are pretty.
You are a beautiful and unique flower,
You're
Dave.
So pretty and special. And you always make me happy. So there's one person in the world who is always happy to see you.
I'm glad that's the case. I'd like it if there were more. But
yes.
It's not his wife. It's you, Michelle.
That's all you get.
Me.
Oh, it's definitely not my wife. She's seldom happy to see me.
Go on the road again.
Yeah.
Aaron, how are you? Do you have any more questions?
No, I think I asked everything that I wanted to ask. I really was trying to avoid just doing a Chris Farley and being, "Hey, remember when you were in Kids in the Hall? That was great."
I know. I'm sorry. That's what I. Whoops.
So I'm going to do that now.
All right, you jump in there.
So you were on that last Ships and Dips tour, that cruise that went out. How did that come to be? And do you have any stories from that experience that you could tell our audience?
Gosh, I wonder how much can I even remember? I was still drinking in those days, quite a bit. It was amazingly fun. I mean, it really was just that the guys, the Barenaked Ladies just asked Kevin and I if we could put together a 2-man show for it. So we did, and it was fun. We keep thinking about doing that again, but And it was weird performing on a boat was weird, and then we were performing on a stormy night. So this was literally the stage was doing this, performing in the theater. But it was fun. It was like a lot of our favorite, the Odds were there, and Sloan was there, and
a lot of people that you've listed in interviews as being some of your favorite bands.
Yeah, and it was Great Big Sea was there, Sarah McLachlan, I'm blanking on a great band from like Portland area.
Guster?
No.
I think he means Portland, not Portland,
Oregon.
Maine.
The other Portland.
We're from Maine, so we think Portland, Maine is Portland.
Yeah, I think they're Portland or Seattle. Oh Jesus, I'm blanking on the names, and I really love them too, and I'm just blanking on the name.
Well, if it comes back to you, I can easily just cut that, and then boom, you didn't forget them at all.
It was this little band called Nirvana with Paul McCartney.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Little garage.
They did the album Nebraska. Did all those very a lot of songs about being abused as a child. Begins with a W.
Some people have
age, and we can't get to it.
Some people have face blindness. I have name blindness, so I suffer from the same thing. I'm like, "Hey, person."
Yeah, it's the only thing I can't remember in scripts is character names.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember names.
I could see that being a problem for me too.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm trying to think of anything else that did a lot of drinking, a lot of hanging out very late at night.
Was it the Weaker Thans?
No, it wasn't the Weaker Thans, although they were there.
Oh wow, okay.
One of the bands, the Weaker Thans were there. The Mountain Goats.
Oh, I love the Mountain Goats. They're fantastic. Yeah.
See, I can easily edit that right in now.
It's an upside down W.
Yeah, because it's always, because I always think of the Mountain Goats as sounding a lot like the Weaker Thans. It's a very similar sound, and they're both very poetic.
Yeah, a lot of great lyrics and interesting stories.
That must have been amazing, because you get up there, you get the audience that's there to kind of really enjoy the cruise and also enjoy BNL and all these wonderful bands, but then you get to enjoy all these wonderful bands too.
Yeah, and I think I was too drunk to go out for the nude photo at night when they did that. They had like 1,000 people.
Oh wow.
on the deck by the pool for a big group nude photo. And I think I was already passed out at that point.
That's what cruises are for.
Yeah.
So I don't have any more questions right now that I'd written. I had planned to leave these guys some room, and so I only wrote a certain number of questions to give these guys some space. I could come up with a million more, but I also don't. Your time is precious.
Yeah, I mostly just didn't want to take up his whole night here.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mostly my washing machine is making a lot of noise. I don't know if you can hear that.
No.
The only thing I have to do is I have to get up and I have to make my daughter dinner, because my wife is away in Dallas doing a play for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Well, I have 2 months off. So I better go. I have to make my daughter dinner, and that's the rest of my evening.
Nice.
Then we'll watch.
Well, it's a nice evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my daughter's great.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Dave. It's been wonderful talking to you, man.
Oh,
this has been a pleasure.
Yeah, it really
has. A real treat.
It's been delightful for me.
Well, thank you so much.
I do have one more question.
Oh, okay.
I should have asked this right from the get-go, but it's a good final question.
All right.
And it might make you uncomfortable to do so. If so, you can say no, and I'll just cut it.
All right.
So we rank all of our songs 0 to 5. And so 5 is the best.
Yeah.
And we decided for this week that the ranking would be how many Kids in the Hall we would give this song. We've already done our rankings, but how many Kids in the Hall would you give this song, 0 to 5?
Gangster Girl.
Sorry, I'll back up. So how many?
You got your cart well before the horse here, Tracy.
Yeah.
You look like you're about to cue up a song.
No, we're about to sing to you right now, Dave.
Well, I think considering that it was a bespoke song just for me and my buddies, I'd have to give it 5 Kids in the Hall.
Yep.
Excellent.
Nice.
That makes total sense.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for, one, joining us, but also for bringing this wonderful song into existence by having them come onto the movie. It really is a wonderful song. We've already discussed how much we love this song, but it never would have happened had you not asked them to come and do the show, the movie with you.
Exactly. It wouldn't even exist.
Yeah. No, and the tremendous generosity on their part to take the time to write it.
So you're kind of the grandfather of the song, in a way.
I am.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Dave.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dave. Thank you for taking your time and generosity to join us.
One more quick piece of flattery. I mentioned I loved you, and It's Always Sunny. I really liked your appearance in Marin as well, where you kind of appear as like the Curb Your Enthusiasm version of yourself. But do you actually watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? I'm just curious, and if so,
yeah, not all the time, but yeah.
Which is better, do you think, Lethal Weapon 5 or Lethal Weapon 6?
I couldn't decide.
Who could? Really? Who could? No, but thank you. Yeah. It certainly was a pleasure to speak with you, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you for the reference.
Have a good night. Thanks again.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So a few facts. Some of the other Kids in the Hall are also fans of Bare Naked Ladies. But did you know that the Bare Naked Ladies are huge fans of Kids in the Hall?
That totally makes sense.
Yeah, I am not shocked at all by that.
Yeah, the Bare Naked Ladies and I are of a certain age, and the Kids in the Hall hit right when we were right for it. So that makes total sense.
Kids in the Hall, of course, have a fan group online. They did this series where they're like, if you like Kids in the Hall, you might also like, and their first group, the first people that they actually talked about was, of course, Bare Naked Ladies.
Nice.
And at one point, Dave Foley was actually on the radio, The Current, in Minnesota, and he hijacked their airwaves for a little while, and he was taking over and playing songs that he liked. Fourth song that he picked, Bare Naked Ladies, Break Your Heart.
Nice. Great song.
This is a man that's right here in my heart. Like, that's an amazing pick. Thank you, Dave, for doing that.
Oh.
Now that we don't have Dave around, what do you guys really think of this song? So what I'm going to do is what I want to rank this is 0 to 5. How many Kids in the Hall do you give this song, Michelle?
I give it a 4. It's a fun song. It's, the doo-wop is great. It's right on. I love the key change at the end. They just kick it up a notch a la every perfect doo-wop song. It's fun. The lyrics are clever. It's a perfect BNL song, and I give it a 4.
Aaron, go ahead. I was
going to say, how about you, Aaron?
I'm not used to you tossing people anymore.
I am tired and I am salty. No, I am in complete lockstep with Michelle. It's good to have you back, Michelle.
I totally thought of you on that key change, Aaron. Yeah. I was like, Aaron is totally going to comment on this, and he's totally going to love this. And I felt you.
It's so doo-wop. It's so classic doo-wop. I love it.
So doo-wop.
But yes, Michelle and I are in complete sync in this case. I also give it a 4 out of 5 Kids in the Hall. I would rate it a Dave Foley, Kevin McDonald, Scott Thompson, and Mark McKinney out of 5 Kids in the Hall. We all know Bruce was the the naysayer. Bruce was always the contrarian, so we'll leave him out. One of my favorites.
Bruce wouldn't be down for doo-wop. He would want like Danzig.
Jazz schmazz.
Exactly.
I will never stop rocking. Yeah, so we'll give it a solid 4 out of 5. It's a fantastic song. It's a great classic a cappella doo-wop bop. I would call it a bop. And it's executed masterfully with amazing harmonies and great enthusiasm by the BNL gang, and I just absolutely love it.
How about you, Tracy? How many Kids in the Halls do you give this song?
I have to completely agree with both of you. I give this song a 4, but I have to say I'm leaving out Bruce because when it comes... Wait, Bruce is the one that... Oh, Butter. No.
Bruce is Bobby.
Bruce was the really...
This is
Bruce is the Bobby of the
hand,
group.
Mom.
Now, Bruce... He did his own. He did at least 2 albums on his own after Kids, and he's a very musical guy himself. He was the guy who was really David Lynch.
He has to be a Scorpio.
Was he the one that played Death?
He's an amazing.
No, that's Mark McKinney.
Mark McKinney. Oh, thank you. That's Bruce the name I was missing out of going through the names.
Bruce was the mayor.
All right. So
and he was.
I'm going to leave out Mark McKinney only because I don't want Death on our program. I love Mark. I think he's hilarious, but I have to leave him out because I don't want Death. But no, I definitely give this a 4. It's just an amazing song, and I wish that the studio had allowed Bare Naked Ladies to take the time to actually back and write the music and coordinate the music for this whole thing, for this whole movie, because that would have been just absolutely amazing. I would have loved to see what they have done with it. But the fact that they were allowed to do this, and Dave really pushed for this, thank you so much, Dave, for pushing for this, because this is an amazing little thing to listen to and to have, and it's already on my playlist every single day now.
And Steven's singing the lead like he means it. Like he's really giving it his all.
Well, it's funny, we mentioned Break Your Heart, and he has almost, Break Your Heart's a little more Joe Cocker, but he really does sell it. He really gives it his all.
Totally sells it.
Same way.
Totally sells it.
Very.
I love it.
Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Break it down for us.
All right, let's break it down. Gangster Girl was recorded at approximately 84 beats per minute. It is completely a cappella, so the time does kind of drag and rush, but not much. It's pretty centered around 84 beats per minute the entire time. It is a doo-wop song. It is very much a classical doo-wop song. And it is sung a cappella, as I mentioned, as a lot of doo-wop is, but not all of it. It's a fairly simple construction. It's a fairly short song, so that would make sense. You have your verse, which is initially C to E minor to F to G, which is very kind of traditional 1, 3, 4, 5, or, C, E minor, F, G. So 1, 3, 4, 5. Then the chorus goes F, C, D minor, G, which is 4, 1, 2, 5. And the 5, of course, bounces back to the 1 perfectly. Now, the entire structure of the song, as I said, is very simple. You have the verse 1, which is your A, your chorus section, which is your B. Then there's a modulation where they move up a half step, which is also very common in doo-wop. So now we have a D flat, F minor, G flat, A flat. It's still 1, 3, 4, 5. It's the same structure, but they've moved everything up a half step, which gives it that extra energy coming in at the end, and kind of just it gives it that traditional doo-wop feel. So you have A, B, and then A, and the second A, the second verse rather, is up a half step modulated, and you end on this lovely major seventh, which is it's got a very doo-wop, very kind of barbershop almost feel to it. The harmonies are nice and tight. The group is really, really on. Like I said, it's only, I think it's 1 minute and 18 seconds, so it's not a surprise, really. The form is quite simple. But you get a verse, chorus, verse, and even though it's so short, it really does feel self-contained, and it feels like a complete song. It's also a great little moment in The Wrong Guy, very surreal and quite funny, aside from being a lovely little tune. And that's my breakdown.
Yeah, I think your breakdown was longer than the song.
I think so.
So this week, I am going to lean deep into the Canadian theme while sticking close to home. A hometown band, Guster, just released an alternative video for their recent single release, Overexcited. What they have done for this new single, for the new album, is they have decided to put out 7 alternative versions of this song in different languages. So they have Japanese, Arabic, Malagasy, French, Spanish, Hebrew, and then finally, we have Tyler singing the Canadian translation. Now, if you want to have a lot of fun listening to this song, and I recommend everyone going out to listen to this, because Tyler is just like a fun one of the group anyways, and just like to go out and just like mess around. Pull up the official lyrics to the song while listening to Tyler's version of this song. It is hilarious. I highly recommend it. I have put in the YouTube video, but you can also get it on iTunes. And please go out, download this, and just enjoy every second of it. And by the way, if you don't know Kids in the Hall, and by the way, why don't you? Then I will be also posting on our list tonight the information about where Kids in the Hall came from, what they did, what they were known for. Go look them up online, especially Death Comes to Town or Brain Candy, but you watch the original series as well. I will be also posting snippets of the song Gangster Girl from the movie, so you can go out and enjoy watching Dave Foley react to B&L singing this song. And finally, my last appearance for this week is Dave Foley and Kevin McDonald were on the last Ships and Dips cruise that Bare Naked Ladies did. And there is video of them doing intros for the Bare Naked Ladies. And I will be posting those as well for you to go out and enjoy. It's wonderful to see them do that. So, I don't know about you guys, but I was absolutely floored at the luck of getting this to work out this week. Literally, I'm like on the floor right now. Aaron, can you lend me a hand? I really need to get back up. So that way I can recover for next week.
Tracy, is this you'll have to pardon my skepticism here, but this isn't some kind of convoluted segue for the next song, is it?
It is. Join us next week as we discuss the song Get Back Up.
Yay. And it's nice to be back, everyone.
It's good to have wonderful to have you back.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.